Welcome back to the Print Theory Podcast. This week we have part 2 of our interview with Marshall Atkins. We hope you enjoy this episode and thank you for listening to the Print Theory Podcast.
Okay, so that's good. Okay, number 3. So for us, we focus on service and customer experience, at least for, and this is for like our shop. We focus more on service and customer experience over offering, necessarily the cheapest possible price. Do you feel that successful print companies operate the same way, or do you feel it's better to focus on something else?
Well, it's great that you're focusing on the customer, right? I love that, right? So, do you know who your top 20% of your customers are?
For us, yeah. Well, yeah. So right now we have some of our probably a good handful of our schools are actually genuinely our top producing customers, and then we have a couple corporate accounts here in the area that are our top.
So let me ask you this: have you asked them this question? Why do you do business with us?
Yeah, actually, I have.
What's the answer?
The answer is because we feel that you can take care of us.
Great. That needs to be the bullhorn message you have in your marketing. Yeah. And then the other thing is it's better if your customers are saying it than you, right? Because when you say it, you're kind of bragging. When your customer says it, that's called a customer testimonial, right? So the more of those that you get, the better, right? Yeah. And then, so the next question with that is, you're taking care of them. What do they like about that? Is it a certain thing? Is it because, so-and-so is, delivers the shirts, or you remember my name, or, you got that crazy order out last week or whatever? What is the thing that's really resonating with them when they say that? What's the reason why they're saying that? That's what you need to figure out. And so you can replicate that, and that becomes part of your process, right?
Yeah. I would say at least just because I handle a lot of the outbound sales and customer relations, like actually going out to a lot of our schools and different corporate clients and stuff like that. And we do a lot of schools, and this past kind of year and a half, our business has had a lot of schools, and we do we're involved, and we go to this thing called CATA, and it's basically California Activities Directors Association. And they have different areas spanning, every 100 miles or 2, it's a different area. And we're the only vendor that they allow to come to their like luncheons that they have. And there's usually like 100 in December, it was like 115 or 120 different activities directors from different schools all around, from like 150 miles radius of our area. They all came to the certain area. We take care of and service and have made really good friends with the guy who runs it. And we do business with a lot of the people that already go, but we go to we want to get all the schools that are doing it and all the different business. So we're there, and I'm just hanging out. And one thing that I had heard from a lot of our current people they were bringing some of their friends from their other districts to our booth, or like just over to talk to me. And they're like, listen, this guy, he remembers when I was out on maternity leave, he actually asked how I was doing. He doesn't just check in only for sales. And so I think when it dials it down to is just like they like that we over communicate, regardless of if it's not just for sales or not.
That's awesome. There's one of my favorite authors is this guy named Mark Schaefer. He wrote this book called The Marketing Revolution, which is a great book. And in the book, he's talking about one of his things he proposes is the most human company wins. Right. So if you remember somebody's name, if you remember that they were pregnant, if whatever, you're solving their problems. It's always about your customer. It's never about you. Right. So when you put your customer first, that's what they love. Their customers are very selfish. They don't care about you. They care about themselves. They have problems. Can you solve their problem? They love you. You're having a problem. They don't care. They'll blame you, right? So what are you doing to solve their problems? And a lot of people don't even know what their problems are.
Yeah.
right? And if you're doing stuff with schools, let's say, you've got the booster mom, Karen, right? And what's she like to deal with? As soon as her little darling Sally, gets to the next grade, she's out of there, right?
Yeah.
And so what happens? Is there a handoff? Are you prepping the next, Rachel's going to be the next person? Are you coming in, onboarding her and making her feel special and that type of stuff? What is your experience with dealing with the next person?
Yeah.
Also, do you make it not about that booster club? Do you make it like, is there an agreement that you have that solidifies that relationship? Do you have an online store? Is there a signed agreement with the school district where it isn't about these people? Hey, I got a guy, I know a dude, he could do it for cheaper.
Yeah.
And then despite the fact that you've done it great for 5 years, you lose all the business because of that booster parent turnover.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the more that you can do to solidify that, the better. And schools are a special challenge.
They are.
They are.
So I've done stuff with schools, and I just frankly, I'll just tell you, I'm not a big fan of schools as customers. So
Yeah.
I like getting paid up front. Right.
Yeah.
So, and they're not about that. Right.
Yeah.
They're not.
However, I do know shops that get paid up front for everything they do with the school because they have that written into their agreement. And how they got that was a question that they could ask, which is, hey, does the school district, you guys ever send a coach to a football camp and you got to buy them a plane ticket? Yeah, we do that. Yeah. Do you guys order from Amazon? Yeah, we order from Amazon. It's like, well, how can you pay for those companies up front, but you can't pay me up front? How can I get on that list?
Yeah.
And then just ask that question and see if you can work it that way. Also, a lot of school districts have a credit card, right? Just get it on the credit card. Why wait, 45 or 90 days sometimes? Well, some school districts are just crazy bad payers, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how you guys do it, but
I would say we have a really good mixture of some schools take longer, and then some schools, like I got a check today that they approved a quote, and we haven't even started, and I got the check. So it really just depends on the school district or the school or people in the office.
I know a lot of people have different pricing tiers, and here's your pricing, pay me up front. Here's my pricing if it's going to be on terms. And then the client just has to pay the VIG, if you want to use kind of a casino term, right?
Yeah.
And that's the difference between the two is, you don't want to pay up front. Well, here's your pricing because, we're not your bank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So
That's good. Yeah, I never even thought of that. Yeah. Sweet. Thank you for that, Marshall.
Feel good. That's why I'm here.
It's like, keep them coming. Keep them coming. Okay, cool. Let's go another one. From the outside. Okay. This one's a good one. Okay. So I don't know if you did any look from the outside looking in into print theory, just kind of gearing up for this. But if you did, or even on the spot, and if you haven't, just kind of from talking to us, what kind of comes to mind. So from the outside looking in at print theory, in your perception, what would be the first thing that you would advise us to implement on or double down on if it's something that you see that we're doing well? From your outside looking in, just from the very minimal interactions.
Well, it's hard to tell from a website or anything, right?
That's
So to me, what I would say is you have to be self-aware, right? So do you know what your biggest weakness is?
I think we had a problem with scheduling, realistically scheduling things that we've kind of fixed with our process and how we calendar items now.
I can tell you exactly how to fix that right now. You ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ready, yes.
You're going to have to do some work. Okay. The reason why you can't schedule is because a couple things, right? First off, we have to be measuring, right? We need to know how fast we're doing things. That's velocity. So how fast are we setting up? How fast are we running? What is our daily average, right? So if we know that we normally print 8 jobs on Press 2 and we run at 400 an hour and we set up at 7 minutes a screen, then it's just a math formula for the job, right? So we know that 400-piece job, right? Let's say it's 2 colors. It's going to take an hour to print it. It's going to take 15 minutes to set it up. And let's just say 10 minutes to take it down, right? So that's going to be an hour and 25 minutes. Let's just call it an hour 30. And then now, if we start at 8 o'clock, it should be finished by 9:30, right? Yeah. So when you give your press crew the expectation that you should be done at 9:30, right? Does that happen? So, but here's what in reality happens is we don't give the expectations to our crew. Yeah. Then it's 10 o'clock. What do they care? You're paying them by the hour, man. Yeah. Right. So a really great thing to do is if you guys understand your velocity, the next is capacity. How much do we normally do? We normally do 8 jobs. Okay. We have 15 jobs we got to get done today. Well, that's not going to happen. Yeah. Without overtime. Yeah. Without a second shift. Without contracting things out. We can only do so much because we can't bend the laws of time and space. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. A lot of times sales will outstrip production's ability to get it done in a timely manner. So this is why we have to be looking at the types of jobs that we're taking. So if we're taking jobs that we're not making good money on, why are we even saying yes to this thing? Yeah. So this is where it's a mix. Yeah. Okay. And then the thing that I highly recommend that people do is we get set up today for tomorrow's production. So when you guys sell something like, take today, for example, how many, or let's say yesterday, how many jobs did you guys put in your system yesterday for sales, for screen printing?
Yesterday we had 8 orders.
8 orders that you put in the system. Okay. So those 8 orders should be scheduled to a press on a day today. So everything that came in yesterday gets scheduled today for the day you're going to run that job. And you know it's going to take an hour and a half. And it's sitting on that schedule, right? And when that schedule fills up, we can't put any more jobs on that Thursday or whatever, right? Yeah. Because it's full. And then we have to go to the next day. But if we keep bringing in jobs, this is how 2 or 3 weeks from now, you can be going, you know what? I think we need a Saturday shift. You know what? I think we need to keep everybody till 9 o'clock at night or come in at 4 in the morning or whatever we're going to do. Right? Because we have outstripped our capacity. We can't dogpile on production because we only can do so much. Right? So if you know how long things take and you know how long, what your speed is, then it's as simple as, you get one of these things. Have you seen it? It's a calculator. and you just put the numbers in. If you're still using paper work orders, in the upper right-hand corner, you can just write how long that job's going to take. And then you can put it on the schedule and you've blocked off from 8 to 9:30 in the morning for it. And then you got the next job and the next job and the next job. And you're doing that 10 days or however long your turn times are in advance. You know what Thursday, 10 days from now looks like. And then when that Wednesday rolls around, you print the schedule out. Here's the schedule of tomorrow. And then what you do is you pull all the jobs in the order you want them to run, right? You set them by the press. You got the shirts, you got the screens, you got the ink, you got the flood bars, you got everything they need. If it's embroidery, you got the cones of thread, you got everything you need to run these jobs lined up for the people that are supposed to run them the day before. So when they walk in the morning, they have 100% of every single thing they need. And all they got to do is set it up, print it, take it down, do the next job all day long.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's how you do a production schedule. Right?
Yeah.
How is that different than how you're doing it now?
We don't do the day before setup. So the scheduling 10 days out or 7 days out is already happening. Like we know what 2 weeks from now looks like. But we don't like
prep
set
the
up
film.
I know we try.
Yeah, we have
do
films ahead
films
of time.
and screens.
Yeah.
And stuff, but we don't set up the machine for the next day. So when they come in, they just set up.
Yeah.
So what we need more than anything is some rules, right? For example, so what is today? Today is Friday, right? So if we're thinking about, if I'm printing a job on Friday, the screens need to be burned and up on the rack on Wednesday. For that to happen, the job has to be approved on Tuesday.
Yeah.
the goods need to be here on Tuesday. So because on Thursday around noon, somebody is going to be reaching on the screen rack for those screens. Somebody's going to be in receiving or wherever you stage your stuff for those shirts. We're going to be doing that on Thursday. And by the way, whoever the production manager is, it's their responsibility to have this done before they leave. The 100% of the floor has to be staged for tomorrow before that person can leave.
That's good.
And in the morning, when everybody comes in every single department, everything is there for them, right? You shouldn't see your press operator in the screen room ever.
Yeah.
Or in the ink room, right? And because that meant that somebody didn't stage it, right? So that's what we want. The press, the equipment, the embroidery machine, the DTF machine, the laser engraver, whatever. Each of these machines has its own gravitational pull. Everything they need comes to them. Nobody goes and gets stuff. Everything comes to them, and all they're doing is they're just doing their production job.
Yeah.
Right? That's the secret to getting an accurate production schedule is you have to, one, set the expectation on when things are due, and two, make it easy for the people who are doing the work to get it done by eliminating every single excuse they have as to why they can't do it.
Yeah. That is.
Right? And then things go wrong. Okay? And so we have a term for that, and I'm sure you've heard it, which is production happens, right? And you pop a screen or you're missing 30 shirts or whatever, right? And just things go south. So we have to adjust, right? That's just natural. So what are we doing in these cases is really on the spot leadership, right? So, but the more that you do this stuff where you do everything early, and by the way, I'm a big proponent of if something is supposed to ship on Friday, that all the production and everything is done by Thursday. And then on Friday, all we're doing is shipping. We're not doing any production on the day that it's shipping ever.
There you go.
Right? So we're and here's another thing we're not doing is we're not printing shirts on the day that the inventory is coming in today, and we're going to get those things received and print them. Right? That's a big no.
Yeah.
We're never doing that. Right? Because we can't count on UPS or FedEx or whoever to deliver the shirts on time. Right? So everything we do is a business day after the shirts are received. So we receive the shirts on Monday. The soonest we can start printing is Wednesday. And that's unfair for a lot of customers because they have a total freak out about that. But guess what? That makes your production sane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, it's just about establishing rules and sticking to them.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is the hard part, the sticking to them.
Sticking to.
So, all right. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. I'm writing all this down. Thank you, Marshall.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
I know, and we love it. And okay, I got one more big one.
Okay.
So, what were some career defining moves or knowledge that that set you apart from your peers? Like if you want to share any actual events or business wins or personal characteristics or disciplines that you have that's kind of helped you to excel in what you've blossomed into.
Right. Well, first off, I'm insanely curious. I want to know. Also, I'm open to change. Right. So, like, if you're in the industry, somebody told me this today. I wrote it down, right? Hold on. Where did I put it? All right. So and of course I can't read my own handwriting, but it's about learning in the 21st century, right? The people that are going to be literate aren't the people who know how to read, but those or read and write, but those that can learn, unlearn, and relearn. Right? And so what does this mean? This means that we have to be curious. We have to know what's going on. I love talking with people, right? I want to know, how do you do it? What do you do? What's this going on? Like it was so amazing to me, at Long Beach, right? So I was in the NASDAR booth talking with my buddy Rob, who's one of the head guys of NASDAR, and he was talking to me, hey, did you see the new ink Aviant came out? No, what is it? It's bioplastisol, right? So it's plastisol that's not made from petroleum. So normal plastisol, as you probably know, is made a derivative of petroleum, right? So this is, so the carb, that's where the carbon for the ink comes from. The carbon for this doesn't come from petroleum, it comes from plants, right? But it behaves just like plastisol. And they had in their booth, and I was, oh my God, this is so great, right? So there's a lot of people who won't like that, right? And so we have to be curious about the new things that are coming up all the time, right? DTF, for example, there's a lot of people that are screen printers who poo-poo DTF constantly. It sucks. It's no good. It doesn't feel like it, all this stuff. Okay. But I can tell you that people who are really doing great with DTF are making way more money than people who are screen printing. And so it's about the glasses you wear and how you look at stuff. So if you're a screen printer, everything you view is through the lens of screen printing. If you're an entrepreneur or a business person, everything you look at is about profit. It's about being in business. It's about making money. So what lens are you looking through this industry at, right? So to me, being curious, like I could have stayed in architecture school, right?
Yeah.
I could have stayed an art director. I could have never gone down the operations path. I could have never been a consultant. I could have never written an article. I could have never done a podcast. It's just jumping off the cliff and figuring it out.
Yeah.
Right. And knowing that you have to be open to mistakes. Right. So here's a question for you guys, right? How many mistakes a year are you making? Are you measuring these? How many things are you trying that they might not work, but we're doing it anyway? Like this show is probably one of them, right? So it counts, right? So I'm always doing crazy stuff, right? Look at Shirt Lab, right? We didn't ask for permission. We just did it, right? Look at my Midjourney newsletter, right? I was at I create a lot of content. So I was at a Content Creators Expo in Cleveland last year. And I've been writing a blog, and I write for a lot of the magazines and stuff. And so I was thinking about doing a newsletter for the industry, right? So that was on the top of my mind. And I was sitting there. I took some classes at this expo, and I was sitting there listening to these people. And I did this class about newsletters because I wanted to know all about newsletters. And then I took this class on Midjourney, and I was playing around with Midjourney, but I wasn't like as consumed by it like I am now. And it was sitting there listening to this guy talk about Midjourney. And then I had the epiphany about doing a Midjourney newsletter. So when I got back to my hotel, I Googled that, and there wasn't one, especially for creative people, like professionals, like in graphics and advertising and marketing and whatever, right? And there's plenty of stuff out there about how to make Midjourney work, but not in a professional setting, right? So I knew if I did something now, I would be the first person.
Yeah.
And so I started my newsletter and I did the thing. And now, I've got hundreds and hundreds of people subscribe to it, and I'm helping people. I'm teaching it at trade shows, and I got private tutoring I'm doing for it. I mean, it's a big thing, right?
That's cool.
And but I had to be open to doing that, right? Nobody said, "Hey, Marshall, I really think you should do this newsletter," right? And what's really cool, if you Google Midjourney newsletter, right? I'm number one on Google right now.
Let's go.
Cool.
I didn't pay Google any money.
Yeah.
I was just legitimately the
because
first.
I have so many backlinks out there that I show up number one, right?
Wow.
So, or number two, depends on the area, right? So I've been experimenting with that, but it's just a crazy thing, right? But I have to be open to that, right? And I have to be open to the next thing that might pop up a year or two or three or next week,
Yeah.
It's always being willing to view situations through a different lens and being willing to. I this isn't what I had vision for, but this is what's working, and I'm going to try this and be willing to fail if needed.
Yeah. And so are you open to the opportunity? So I saw an interview the other day. I forget where I saw it, but there was this guy who was in charge of the Super Bowl halftime performances, right? And do you remember the one where Prince did the Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
So if you remember that, it rained really hard, right? I mean, it was like crazy rain, a hurricane rain, right? And Prince has this dramatic entrance where he pops up from underneath, right? And I'm talking it's 45 seconds before he's about to go up, right? And the guy says, just to let you know, it's really coming down. And they were really concerned because Prince had all these dancers and they're wearing these crazy high heels and they've got this mylar and all this set direction they made, but they didn't count on it being rainy. Mm-hmm. So they're worried about it being really slick and people falling and hurting themselves potentially or whatever. And Prince looked at the guy and said, hey, can you make it rain harder? Because he wanted to use that as an opportunity to motivate himself to have the best performance he could have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then what they didn't really think about was they had all these lights and all the heat and everything. So all the rain came down and that made this like crazy steam cloud that he was performing in. And of course, the water got on the lens of the TV cameras, which made this crazy kind of optical thing that, none of that was planned, but it made the show better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so to me, you got to use what's in front of you. You got to be open to this stuff. You can't be closed down to things. Yeah. So this is so I have a kind of a thing I've been doing for a long time. Why was I just at the Atlantic City show, right? You have to be open. You have to be present to win, right? You have to go, right? You're not going to get anywhere sitting in your office talking with the people you always talk to, right? The only way that you're going to learn is to read the book, is to go to the show, is to talk to the people, is to do the visit, is to ask people, and with complete no fear, hey, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
Right? And I think that if you take all that and you filter it into what you're doing, you can build something really special.
Let's go.
And it has to be yours, right? You're in charge of your own journey. Nobody's going to do it for you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Nobody's given me anything. I've worked and earned everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like all over that. Let's go, right? Let's figure it out. Let's do something, right? And you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
Man.
So how was that? Was that a good answer?
Yeah. That's cool.
Every answer has been good. My goodness. Oh man, I feel like I'm sweating right now. Oh man, well, thank you so much, Marshall, for that's all the main questions that I kind of had. But I want you had mentioned it a couple times throughout just these different questions. But talk a little more about what the Midjourney experience is.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about Midjourney. You guys using that yet? Do you know what it is at all?
I looked it up today, and I played around with it a little bit. It's the AI, right?
So,
creation.
Yeah, it's AI.
Yeah.
So Midjourney is one of several platforms where you can make images. So it's an image creator. Okay, it's not an image editor. Okay, it's an image creator, and if you're using any art tool like Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever, CorelDRAW, doesn't matter. You're used to the buttons, right? You know where the box tool is and the line tool is and the blur tool and how to do the text tool and all these things. You're used to all of that, right? And Midjourney is none of that. Midjourney isn't about anything other than words. So the reason why a lot of folks are very interested in it is because it's based on words. So you put if you don't mind, I'll show you guys.
Of course.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But what's really interesting is that the prompt words that you use give you the image that you want. So instead of you knowing where the buttons are and how to put a real interesting image together, right? Everything is based on how good of a vocabulary you have.
There you go.
Okay. So a lot of people, that's intimidating right there, right? And but it's a lot of fun. And when I started playing around with Midjourney, I couldn't stop. I mean, it was just crazy. And then I started thinking about the effect that I used to do all the artwork that I did all by hand. There's a term called camera ready. That was back when I started, right? We would make everything we did, like if you had a 3 or 4 color print, I had to make each thing by hand on it was called a blue line, which is a piece of cardboard. And if you use light blue, like pencil, the camera wouldn't see it, right? So a camera ready, that term comes from this sofa-sized camera that would take a picture, and then you'd had to develop it like film with the silver nitrate bath, and you would hang up the film transparency. And that whole process of designing something took days. I mean, one design might take you 4 or 5 days of work. I mean, hours and hours and hours. Okay. Wow. And then the computer came out, and now it's an hour or two.
Yeah.
Right. It just blew my mind. And that's the reason why I quit architecture school and went into doing art as an art director for the t-shirt company, because I was like, this is great. Let's do that. So now we have tools where instead of hours, I can do 60 or 80 images in about 45 seconds, right? Of something. And of that, 2 or 3 of those will be really great. And then I can play with that a little bit. And then I can use that in whatever I'm doing, right? Now, the challenge that a lot of people have is they have something in their head, but they're using the wrong words, and they get really frustrated because it's not matching up with what they want.
Yeah.
Because they're not giving it the right words to get the outcome. And that's the frustrating part, which is why I have the newsletter to teach people how to do stuff, right? Yeah. And by the way, if anybody out there is stuck, they're trying to do something, they can't figure it out, just email me and let me play with it, right? So it's Marshall@MarshallAtkinson.com. It's just my name, right? Just it's easy to figure out.
Marshall@MarshallAtkinson.com. Awesome. Well, that was Midjourney. Let's talk about right before I ask you our last question. Shirt Lab Tribe. I know you have one coming up in Austin.
Yep. Yeah, so we have a Shirt Lab. Our Austin event is April the 19th and 20th. It's in Austin, Texas. We do live events once a year or so. This year we're having 2. We're having one in Nashville in August. That's going to be all about art and simulated process steps and stuff like that. Midjourney, I think, is going to make its smiling presence known. Nice. But our April event is all about automation, not how to automate your decoration, but automate processes in your shop. So how do you automate your lead generation? How do you automate order entry? How do you automate inventory management? How do you automate your sales process? How do you automate production KPI tracking and metrics? Right? We've got experts that are kicking butt with this right now, and they're bringing in their presentations. All have the tools they use and how they do it and what they do it and all that stuff. You're going to hear and see and get access to them, and they can teach you how they're doing it. So on Monday, when you come back, you can start doing all of that in your shop.
Yeah.
Right.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
And so it's all tactical. It's not theory. It's not we're bringing in a chef to talk about how great it is to be a food expert or whatever.
Yeah.
This is real life stuff. This isn't a panel discussion where we, have inside jokes about stuff. This is practical knowledge from people who are really doing it and killing it in our space, our industry. It's in Austin, Texas next month. And we do these all the time. This is our 9th live event we've done. And they're all lots of fun, lots of hangout time, lots of networking, and we've got lots of people who come back year over year because this is how they're really getting the tools they need to learn how to run their business better. So how I advise you guys to go to that.
Yeah.
And if you can't make it for some reason, you can join Shirt Lab Tribe, which is shirtlabtribe.com. And it's a mastermind community that we're all about sharing what's working. We have a private Facebook page. We have another platform called Circle, where all of our videos, including the Austin event, you can just watch those presentations because we have members who live in Australia or Canada or whatever that can't make it, right? So they're going to watch those videos and see what the speakers say. And then we also have Q&A. We have open hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Our Tuesday ones at 5 o'clock Eastern, our Thursday ones at 12:30 Eastern. I host the Tuesday. My partner, Allie Banholzer, hosts the ones on Thursday. She's a Lean Six Sigma black belt, and she's great. And this is all about sharing, right? So we have, 6 to 30 people on each call, and we're talking about everything. Right? Cool. We're talking about DTF. We're talking about pricing. We're talking about hiring. We're talking about my printer came in drunk the other day. What do I do? I mean, whatever. We're talking about stuff.
What do I do?
And it's knowledge you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. And what I'll tell you is, somebody asked me the other day is like, why should I join that when I could just get the answers for free on Facebook? And my answer to that was, can you?
Yeah, no.
Do you really trust
Can you?
what people are posting on Facebook? Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, Shirt Lab Tribe is $97 a month, and it covers all of the employees in your business. Right?
Oh.
So so if you take how many employees you have, divide by 97, that's what it costs you a month per employee.
That's cool.
Right? Yeah. It's practically nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's lots of fun. We're here for you. You have access to a lot. You get discounts on things, and some of our supplier sponsors give us discounts, and just for tribe membership, right? So it's kind of a thing.
That's awesome.
So it's a good deal, right?
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
Cool.
Sweet.
We're
We
gonna
will
have to jump on that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's sweet.
so that noise just went off is my next call. So I've got a couple minutes left.
Okay. We'll hit you then.
Any other questions you guys have?
Yes. One last question. What is your most memorable print or stitch fail?
Most memorable print or stitch fail, right? All right. So we did this job for a plumbing company. Okay. It was a one color left chest, one color back. And the guy called us up highly incensed. It was like a 350 piece job. And he was talking about these wild variations in placements. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, all of these prints are like 3 or 4 millimeters apart. None of them are in the exact same spot on the shirts. And he was, I'm talking veins popping out of his head, pissed off, right? And I'm like, you know how these things are made, right? He's like, no. I was like, there's a guy who's loading this onto a press. Every single shirt is going to be slightly different, right?
Yeah.
And then I had to break it to him, which is like, our industry standard, and I don't even know if this is a true thing or not, but I said our industry standard is we're allowed about a ½ inch either way, and then that's considered a good print. None of these were crooked. They were just, this way by 2 or 3 millimeters. Do you know how far that is? That's like that far is nothing, right? But this guy measured 350 shirts with a ruler.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, but there's nothing we can do. We printed these correctly. And he's like, well, I'm just taking my business somewhere else. I go, all right, well, good luck with your next guy.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's
Dang.
wild.
So I don't know if that constitutes a big fail for you guys, but that's one of my favorite stories is just this plumber, right?
Yeah.
Measuring everything with 3 or 4 millimeters, right?
Wow.
It's just crazy.
Oh, man.
And taking the time to do it.
Yeah.
Why would he do that?
Man.
People are crazy sometimes, but we gotta love them. Well, thank you so much, Marshall. We really appreciate you coming on the podcast, coming on this, our 11th episode, the start of many more. We are definitely going to be connecting with you after this, and seeing how we can figure out how to connect more and just get some more advice from you.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Well, I'd love to see you at our events. I'd love to see you join Shirt Lab Tribe. I'd love to coach your shop. I'd love to see you use Midjourney and have me help you with that. There's a lot of opportunity out there right over there in the horizon for you guys.
Yeah.
So you just have to decide if you're going to walk that
see
far
it.
and get it or not.
Yeah.
I can see it. It's just we just got to reach out and touch it.
Yeah, it's just right there, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of opportunity right there for us to work together. It's just a matter if you guys want to do that or not. So
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Marshall.
you.
We'll let you get to your next meeting. We really appreciate you, and thank you so much.
all right, well, hey, take care. Thanks for the opportunity. I had a lot of fun. It was a blast, and I'm going to try a boba soon.
Yes,
please.
definitely.
There you go.
We'll get you
gotta
boba.
let us
we'll
know.
get your boba.
Yes, let us know
Yeah.
your review.
Yeah,
Perfect.
for sure.
Will do. Well, we're headed out then. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Marshall.
Thanks. Is that it?
That's it. We're good.
All right, cool. Well, hey, thanks, guys. I had a lot of fun. It was great.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank
too.
you so much.